Hello everyone and welcome to the second edition of the 2014 Coaches Show. I'm Lloyd Shoemaker, your host, and over here is the record-holding coach of the Piqua Indians, Bill Nees. First of all, Coach, I want to say congratulations for the win Friday night over the Hill Climbers. Put you into the elite of the elite.
Yeah, it's staggering. When I first started coaching, you know, somebody asked me if I was ever going to be around long enough, and it didn't even fathom in my mind, that many wins and stuff like that, and it was so far out there. And now after you've achieved it, it's, it really humbles you.
How many years?
Been 22.
22 years. Wow. And I tell you, that was a neat picture of you and Alex.
Yeah, it was a good picture. Good picture. It was nice to have a son on the team when that happened. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Before we get into everything else, I want to take care of a little business here. I want to thank our sponsors. Our main sponsor is First Choice Paint and Body Shop, located in Piqua, Ohio on North 25A. They are a contributor to WOTVC for sponsoring the show. And then I also want to make sure I thank our halftime sponsors in Co-Roman Staley Dickerson Insurance, with 3 offices in Miami County, 1 in Troy, 1 in Covington, 1 in downtown Piqua. Coach, Friday night, Hill Climbers, we knew they were going to throw the ball. Mays came out there, I think, I forget what the number was, I can look at it in a minute, but I think like 90% of their first offensive plays was in the air.
Yeah, and we knew he was going to be able to, and when you say, we know, sometimes you know, but there's not a whole lot that you're going to be able to do about it in certain situations. But we knew the kid was going to throw the ball, and we knew, number 2, he was going to be very accurate.
Yeah.
That's as accurate as a quarterback that we've played against in a long time around here.
I was watching him warm up at halftime, and he was standing about there, 45, firing him into the end zone, and there was no arc on that ball.
No, he was shooting some laser beams. He also had 3 receivers that are about 185 to 195 pounds. Those were not small receivers, and they were able to to whip those screens around and do a lot of different things, attacking from the outside in, attacking from the inside out.
Yeah, you won the toss. You're 2 for 2 so far this year. You deferred. Thank you very much.
No problem.
That seems to be working pretty well so far.
Stick with it.
Stick with it. What was the attitude? What was the feeling of the players going into a game like this, playing a team like Urbana, traditionally a good team football-wise? Were the kids pretty well pumped for it?
I think they were. I think they also had a great deal of respect for Urbana. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we emphasized to those guys is that was a team that's lost 1 or 2 games. I think 2 games in the last 3 years. It's a team that hasn't been beaten at home, and since nobody can remember. Nobody's gone over to that stadium and won in a long time. Great tradition, steeped in tradition from back even when I first started coaching. Yeah. So I think we got that message across in our Monday meetings, and then throughout the week with the scouting reports. They came in with we've got a very confident football team. We've got a football team that's fairly loose, confident, and they have a tendency to be able to back it up.
Was there ever any consideration when you're playing a team like Urbana Division III or Division II that it's a no-win situation for you? If you lose to them, they're going to get a bunch of points. We aren't going to get anything out of it. If we beat them, we aren't going to get a lot of points.
No, what happened was you debate back and forth as to what you can do, and the way the computer is set up now, once they went to the 7 divisions, and then also about 5 years ago, instead of going to total points, they went to point average, or average per week. The separation between a 2 and a 3 is not that much. The big separation is either getting no points because someone didn't win, or getting points because someone won. So I think that's the biggest consideration, and we really felt that we could go play with Urbana. Wasn't sure we were going to beat them, but I thought we had a better chance of going and playing somebody like that rather than maybe going down to Cincinnati, playing a Division I school that doesn't win a lot of games, and then we don't get any points as a result of it.
Right. Well, listen, we talked about their quarterback. It was actually 5 of the first 7 plays were passes. You got to give the kid credit. He's good. He's not only a good passer. What I was impressed with him was not only his passing, but his vision of the field. He saw what was going on, and you could tell that he's just got a football mind.
He does. And there was the first 3 blitzes that we threw at him, he was able to counter all 3 of the blitzes. In other words, he threw the ball exactly where we blitzed from. So he picked it out perfectly. Later on in the game, we mixed in some more blitzes, and we were getting some line pressure, and that kind of got to him then. But at a certain point, if his line was able to pick up the blitz, he was able to get a running back exactly in that right spot and make us pay the price.
Well, you talk about later on in the game. Later on in the game, it was conditioning, it was size, it was number of players that helped put us over there.
Right, and the fact that they had some guys playing both ways.
Yeah.
And then we got a couple huge momentum plays in the second half, and there's you can be fully pumped up, ready to go, and then somebody hit you with a big play or something like that, and that really takes the wind out of your sails.
Yeah. Urbana's ground game, there wasn't a whole lot to that, but that number 5. That was like trying to tackle a bowling ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about a couple times. Maybe not in the run game so much, but he came across the middle. He ran a little circle route, and we were able to bring some inside pressure, and he ran a circle route right around it, and they dumped it over to him. So that got us out of that blitz pretty quick.
Yeah, he didn't even seem like he had legs, but he was he was moving pretty good.
He was.
Pretty good sized boy. Looked like maybe 205, something like that.
I think that enlisted as 195.
195. You held them to 3 points. They were down on your own 13. It looked like they were going to score, but you held them to 3 points. You had to feel good about that, the way they were moving down the field.
Yeah, one of the things about deferring to the second half is if they go down and score, then you're back to even. So what you got to do is you got to try to get some type of win out of that situation, and I thought we got at least a little bit of a win out of it by only the 3 points.
The kickoff to us after the 3 points, State brings it back 15 yards to our 33. Again, Honeycutt is doing a good job back there in returning the kickoffs and punts. Half of our first 10 plays were Yeoman, Clemens, and Rupert. And Clemens came in there, was just banging people.
Yeah.
I was sitting over on the Urbana side, and the people around me kept asking me questions. Good grief, how many do they have on their team over there? Is there 100 kids over there? Are there any of them under 200 pounds? And then I mentioned to the one fellow, I said, now watch out for this Clemens kid. He's only a sophomore. He's 6'1", he's 197 pounds. And when he hit that defensive line, they were not coming forward; they were going back.
He hits. The thing that's unique about all these people is they all run with a different style. Trent's got his slow go and then go. Rupert, you can't catch him in a telephone booth. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
Darian just comes right at you and makes it hurt.
Yeah.
One way or the other. And then Elijah is just smooth. He'll get around the corner. He doesn't look like he's running fast, but no one's catching him because he's just got a smooth run to him. So you've got 4 people that can really put the ball on the ground and move it a little bit.
You're talking about Hudson, right?
Yeah.
Is he okay?
Yeah.
He really, there was
he took a shot
absolutely no reason that there wasn't a flag thrown on that, because that was intentional.
Okay, see, we couldn't see it from our side.
You felt it in the stands. Everybody around me said, oh my gosh, you could feel that up here.
Yeah.
And they said, I'm surprised there wasn't a flag, because that kid just actually took a hold of him and threw him right into the bleachers.
Well, the referees told me that because there was so little distance between the sideline, that's one of the few places that you go that there's no track.
Right.
And there was so little distance between the sideline and the fence, it wasn't as hard, it wasn't as as flagrant as what it seemed.
Well, to me, the defender didn't have to do what he did. He could have held on to him. He could have just let go, but he just threw him. Okay. So we had Yeoman, Clemens, and Rupert running the ball, and the first time we had possession. 4th and 1 at Urbana 15. Yeomans goes in, no question. 7-3, and the good guys. Runge gets another extra point.
Consistent extra points. We've improved on that, if nothing else, during the course from last year.
Yeah.
Improved on that.
Another 4-minute drive.
Like them. We'll take the big plays. I know we're known for the big plays on offense, but anytime you can chew up some clock in the meantime, and if you have the ability to do that, then later on, what we saw later on in the game is our offense had the ability to chew up some clock. Boom, boom, boom. Working down the field.
I think later on in the ball game we'll talk about a 5-minute series that you had also. Urbana comes right back on the arm of Mays. 1:30 left in the first. They missed the extra point. It's now 9-7 in favor of Urbana. We have 2nd and 25 from the Urbana 36. That poor defensive back, Monin over the middle. That had to hurt.
Yeah.
That safety tried to stop him, and there were a couple other guys hanging on him, and he just shook them off.
3 guys, 3 guys hit him, and just simultaneously bounce, and it looked like something out of a science fiction movie. Hitting him and go, and once he's a big kid. People don't realize he's almost 6'4", almost 235 pounds.
Oh, I know.
So he's a big, well put together kid. So he's a great weapon, over the middle to keep everybody a little honest to what's going on.
Well, and you haven't had a big guy over the middle since you had Feezer.
Yeah. Yeah, last time we've had a real tight end threat was the Fees.
Yeah, and again, the people sitting around me when he did that, they went, "Ooh, how big is he?" And I said, "Well, he's about 6'4", about 235, 240, and he's a tight end. He's not the fastest, but he's one of the biggest, and he's going to hurt you."
Yep.
Second 25 from the Urbana 36, Monon over the middle, and then he's in the end zone. Last week he dropped what seemed to be a simple pass. Was it nerves? Is he more comfortable in that position now?
I think so. I think it, and he's more comfortable because the ball's going to get thrown to him now. I think sometimes as a tight end, in the past, if you get a ball thrown to you as a tight end, it's more of a surprise.
Yeah.
Now that he knows he can get the ball, now that he's a little bit more comfortable, I think that'll be all right.
That's quite a weapon for you to have inside the 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't think you want him to go on 65 yards.
No, but it's great, especially with a lot of the zone stuff that we're doing inside, that he's able to come down as a blocker, hesitate for a second, draw everybody up, and then get right through the middle. Yeah. And the flash and pass, he opens up the flash and pass. Excellent.
Well, I tell you, Urbana and Mays, 25 seconds later, he scores from the 3-yard line. Previously, he went 45 yards on a keeper, and the point was good, and now it's 14-16 in favor of Urbana.
Mm-hmm. And it looked like it was going to be a back-and-forth game for a while, unless the defense stiffens up at some point.
Which brings me to my next question. Did you think it was going to be the team with the last ball last time?
It could have been, yeah. You know what? In the year 2014, it doesn't surprise me. Sometimes there's just going to be one of those nights, and other times you're going to be able to make some adjustments and settle in. So you don't know. You don't know. There's some great athletes out there, and the way people are running offenses these days is there's so many things to defend and so many different, putting this guy on an island, spreading people out, and turning everything into a one-on-one game. That one mismatch, is the difference.
Did you obviously? I think I know the answer to the question. Did you think that they were going to squib kick?
We had seen it. We didn't. You don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the squibbing. Somebody's going to pop it up. Somebody's going to go here. Somebody's going to go here. But we knew that they had a tendency to do that. And we had a good front line across. I mean, the people they kicked it to were skilled people. It wasn't like we had 5 offensive linemen up there, with hand pads on. We had linebackers and defensive backs up there. And, we just weren't able to get a hold of it. We were close, but it's something, as you look back, we probably should have been able to get it.
Well, then they end up scoring, and now they're up 23-14. And we come back on the very next series and throw an interception. That's 2 in a row. We turned it over to them. Their ball on our 38, and your defense steps up. You guys just shut them down.
Yeah, and we got to the point where we might have been giving away too many of our chances, because that was a good football team, and you can't go down there and turn it over twice, and then get scored on again. That somebody's going to have to do something pretty quick, and the defense was able to get off the field a little bit.
Well, the team you think you should be beating, and they think they may not be able to win, if you give them the opportunity to think they can win, it's like having an extra guy on the field. Yeah,
the worst thing you want to do is give an underdog a little bit of confidence.
Well, the defense stops them, and we get the ball on our own 20, and then, Coach, I got to tell you, I swore I saw Woody Hayes on your side over there coaching. It was nothing but Yeomans, Clemens, Rupert, Yeoman. I don't think you threw a pass in that whole series, did you?
No, I don't think we did. I think we decided that there was a little bit to the way they were playing their defense. They were really flying into the passing lanes, on the 2 outside receivers. And we really felt that the best way to do this was to be able to, sometimes they had 5 in the box, sometimes they had 6 in the box, and those are good numbers. That, with people flying out there, you get 5 and 6 in the box, there's a lot of people out there. So as a result, we thought that would be the best way to go.
Well, I tell you, it was just 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there grinning at myself and saying, Woody, what are you doing over there? That was the 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
Just under 5-minute drive. Yeoman ends up scoring from the Urbana 4. The PAT is good by Runge. It's now 23-21. Hill Climbers. Very first play afterwards, after the kickoff, Mays throws an interception, and General Lee is in the middle.
Ready to roll.
Yeah.
And you know what? We've been trying to correct Andrew's technique in terms of his pedal, and we want to get a little bit more discipline in his pedal. And he's like, okay. And every once in a while he slips back. Well, he pedaled exactly perfectly.
You're talking about back pedaling.
Yeah, pedaling. And he has a tendency to flip his hips a little too soon, and he was perfect as what he did. He just got to pedal faster.
Yeah.
So you slow down, you can pedal, you can flip your hips and slow down a little bit. But if you really keep your shoulders square, you get it back anyway. He flew back there and kept the exact discipline he's supposed to, and there was no way he would have been able to break up from a flip. He was straight ahead, quarterback threw it. He broke right up with his shoulder square, intercepted the ball, comes over and says, "Coach, I'm a believer. I'm a believer." So it was kind of an epiphany for him over on their sidelines.
Yeah, it's amazing when that happens to the young guys, and all of a sudden the light comes on. And say, oh my gosh, what a difference that makes.
Yeah.
Well, 1 minute later, Gertner scores. It's now 28-23, and guess what? We get the ball to begin the third quarter.
And that's big. That's big. Got momentum going in at halftime. You know, if you get a chance, and we were able to see in that whole sequence right there, we were able to hold them to 3 with the first possession, score right before the half, and then come back and get the ball. Yeah. You know, so I think we stole a couple possessions in the meantime right there.
Were there any signs at the end of the first half that they were running out of gas?
No, not really. But you have to assume that if you keep striking a blow and keep striking a blow and keep striking a blow, that it's going to happen sometime in the third quarter. Yeah. That's just common sense.
Well, we're going to take a break here for halftime. We got a couple of special guests for you, so don't go away. We'll be right back with the coach. Welcome to our halftime show, everyone. Off to my left here is the ever-famous Ben Sowery, and off to my right is Dylan Runge. These are two of the starters, senior starters for the Piqua Indians. Before we get into the conversation with them, I do want to take the time to thank our sponsors for the halftime show. That's Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance. They have 3 offices in Miami County, 1 in Troy, 1 in Covington, and 1 in downtown Piqua. If you need insurance, you want to contact those guys. They're really good at what they do. They're an independent agency with 3 offices. Ben, let's start with you. You had a pretty good ball game Friday night.
Yeah, everything was clicking.
How many tackles did you lead the team in tackles?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I thought it seemed to me like every time that running back or their quarterback was getting up, you were getting up off the top of him.
So Coach told me to do. He told me to watch the quarterback and running back, and every time he left, I took him out.
He, big kid, that quarterback, Mays is his name. He's got, the coach and I talk about this, he's got a good arm on him. He's got a good head on him. His vision of the field, I thought, was really excellent. He saw a lot of good things. What he didn't see a lot was you coming at him. And if he did, he didn't duck in time, did he?
That's true.
How did you guys feel about that game going into it? Urbana's a team that normally has a pretty good football program, not so notorious in basketball, maybe girls basketball, but not boys. But they are a team that normally has a pretty good record. I think they had 2 losses in the last 2 or 3 years. They didn't have the depth or the size. So how did you guys feel about them going in? Did you feel confident, or were you concerned?
I think we felt confident on the way in, knowing we won the last game. But knowing that they didn't lose a home game in the past 3 years was kind of pressuring us. But when we got out there, I felt confident out there on the field.
Was there, I want to ask you this one, was there anything said about the fact that they delayed the entry onto the field until the very last second to the start of that ball game? Did you guys notice that at all?
I didn't even notice it. I was too focused pre-game, just focusing on what I needed to do.
Did you notice that at all, that they took their time getting? I'm sitting up there in the stands, and of course I get into mental games with people, playing mental games with each other, and you guys are already on the field with probably just under 5 minutes to go, which was a little unusual for you. But you didn't have any place else to go. You were standing up behind the bleachers to begin with, and then all of a sudden the clock's counting down and the hill climbers are still up on the outside of the fence. And I'm thinking they're playing mental games with you guys. But if you didn't even notice it, it didn't work. So that's no big deal. You do the kicking.
Yep.
And you also play defensive end.
Yep.
Again, on the other side is Mr. Schmeezing. You guys have a contest going on during the ball games? Who's going to get the most sacks or tackles?
Yeah, actually, we have a little friendly competition. We always give each other heck during the week on who got more tackles or who got more sacks, and keeps it interesting.
Yeah. You are basically perfect on extra points. I'm not trying to cause any concerns here on your part for the season. But if you miss one, don't come looking for me. You've been pretty good at that, and you've been getting some pretty good snaps out of Alex. You had one go a little haywire the other night, the last one. You put a lot of time in that?
Yeah, I mean, we practice it every Monday and every Thursday, and sometimes Tuesday and Wednesday. I get about 10 per each of those days, so it's well practiced.
What about you doing the kickoffs too, right?
Some of them.
Some of them? Okay. When you guys are doing the kickoffs, is it up to you to decide where it's going to go based upon what you see on the other side, or do the coaches pretty much tell you before you hit the field?
Our assistant coach, Eric Bargy,
Yep.
he usually tells me what to do as far as kickoff goes.
Okay.
Then Coach Nees usually has the final say, but he usually agrees with Bargy.
You guys have been doing a pretty good job. I think the 2 games you played so far, the first kickoff has always gone out of bounds. Have you noticed that?
I haven't noticed it. Hopefully it doesn't continue into week 3.
That's right. We don't want that anymore. Extra points, you are perfect. You're getting a lot of good distance on them. Do you practice the field goals also? How far can you kick a field goal?
I've practiced anywhere up to 45 yards, but I'm not consistent out at that range. I'm consistent to about 32 yards.
Well, you know, the coach has not been one who has been much in favor of field goals over the years. I don't know if you knew that or not. I would imagine, and he may prove me wrong on this, but I'll bet if he's had 12 field goals in the last 5 years, that'd be a lot.
Yeah.
He Friday night coming up, Lima Senior. How are you going to be able to handle them as far as attack them defensively? They can run the ball, they can pass the ball. They have their scores against the competition. They're 2-0, just like we are. They have been very consistent. What are you going to do to stop them?
Well, we've been watching film, noticing their trick plays, all their stuff that we really need to cover, and knowing the defense we're going out in, I think their quarterback and running back and their number 2 receiver, I think those are the 3 main parts of their offense that we should deal with and make sure they don't get any big plays. Right when they get a big play, the momentum's on their side, and we just got to hang in there and play defense.
Now, do they use a lot of gadgets, a lot of trick stuff?
Past couple of years they have. This year we haven't really noticed that many trick plays on the film so far, but I think they're just pretty much playing normal offense right now.
Well, they do have a good quarterback, and you're right. They've got a good running back and a couple of good receivers out there also. As a defensive end, what do you look for to key on whether or not you're going to stay where you are and just go up the field, or if you're going to chase somebody?
Well, I mean, it all depends whether I get a run key or a pass key. If I get a run key, I just got to wait and see where he's trying to push me and go the opposite way. If I get a pass key, I'll try to pressure upfield so I can keep the quarterback inside and contained. And if he opens up too far, I'll come under with the change of pace and try to get the quarterback.
Well, it sounds like you guys have got it pretty well figured out, so we're just going to come up here and watch you beat Lima Senior Friday night. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
What are you going to do after high school? This is your senior year. You've been playing football ever since you was about 2 years old, I would imagine. And what are you going to do afterwards? I mean, I talked about to the guys last week and said, you know, your senior year seems to go the fastest of all of them. And 10 games is not going to be enough for you guys this year. I know that. I know you're going to get in the playoffs. And how far you go is going to be entirely up to you. But what are your plans after you get out of Piqua High School?
I'm planning on going to college. I'm not entirely sure which college. I'm kind of going towards Bowling Green, but haven't strictly decided on which college I'm going to.
Okay. Any idea what you want to study?
Probably going to go into the business major.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That's a good background to have. What about you?
I'm planning on going to either Ohio State, Purdue, or Vanderbilt for engineering.
You couldn't have picked 3 better schools. Purdue, Vanderbilt, and Ohio State for engineering. Those are pretty good schools. Guys, we want to wish you good luck Friday night. Thanks for being here with us. Congratulations on your season so far.
Thank you.
And keep hitting those other players on the other team like you're supposed to, and you keep knocking that quarterback on his butt, will you? All right. Hey, thanks for being with us. We'll be right back to the third quarter, and the coach, don't go away. We're back with the coach on the third quarter, and again I want to thank our sponsors, the First Choice Paint and Body Shop, for their donation to WOTVC in support of the football program. They're located on 25A here in Piqua, Ohio, and if you get a ding in your car, you ought to take it in there and have them fix it for you. And also we want to be sure and thank again our halftime sponsors. That's the Coverman Staley Dickerson Insurance Company, with 3 offices in Miami County, 1 in Troy, 1 in Covington, 1 in downtown Piqua, an independent insurance agency that will serve you in the future. Third quarter, moving the ball. We talked about Hudson getting thrown in the stands. It just didn't feel right. As I said, you could feel that bump in the stands, and I couldn't see from where I was how he hit him, whether he hit him his shoulder, his back, or whatever. But it was a hard hit. Yeah,
and you know, the film was inconclusive. We couldn't see anything in the film, you know, either way. But you know, fortunately, Elijah's all right.
Yeah. Well, the next play, we put it on the ground again, and it amazed me if the numbers were right. I had it down that Urbana used the next 8:55 in a quarter.
That would probably be about right.
Going down the field.
That would probably be about right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we get the ball with 4 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, and that was the only second time we touched it.
Yep. Yeah.
In the third quarter. Or I'm sorry, 4 seconds into the fourth quarter is when we finally got our hands on the ball again. 4th and 7 at the Urbana 15. They packed it into block. This was the punt. Man, I thought I swore number 3 on that kid as he was going down the field. You did that with Brandon Sane. Was this called by Yeomans, or was it called from the coaches?
It's called from the sideline.
Yeah, because with Brandon, didn't you give him the opportunity to call that play?
He could when he wanted to, but in the state championship game, it was called from the sideline.
Okay.
Too. Yeah.
All right. And then I don't know who it was. I missed the number on the kid, but somebody got downfield and took out that kick returner.
It was Darren Tips Clemens.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
That was big.
Oh,
that was big.
Yeah, the key to the whole thing is that you know, they had 5 guys on each side. They had a 10-man rush, which only leaves them 1 back. So really, if you can get through that first wave,
oh, yeah,
you know, you're looking good. And some of the key, you know, it was a thing that everybody's talking about. But some of the key people involved was number 1, Jack Smeezing, who's on the corner, who had to get the block to get us around a corner, and then Nate Monin, who was next to him, pulled and was the lead blocker around. Brady Hill, 3rd guy in, took out 2 guys just diving his body across that were trying to follow. All right, so you got all those guys working out. Yeoman hits that thing and goes, and then there's only 1 guy down there. Darian comes from the other side. His job is to go take out the return guy. So he hits that perfectly, and as he's hitting him, Yeoman just cuts it back the other way.
Was Darian off the line?
Darian was one of our 2 upbacks. Darian was right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Darian was right in front of Yeoman. So as Yeoman took off around the end, Darian went straight down the field to meet. They were supposed to meet at that point.
Okay.
That's always on paper, but it actually worked.
Well, they sort of passed each other.
Yeah, yes,
sort of passed each other close by, and I'm sitting there and I'm seeing them all packed in, and I just sort of had a little grin on my face because I just had a feeling that was going to happen. Of course, I didn't say anything to anybody, but I'm thinking, you putting 10 guys on the line and Yeomans as your up man, that's not very good.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is that Trent hasn't been our up back. Trent was only up back because Elijah had been sick Monday and wasn't able to come to practice, and Monday's our special teams practice. So Trent had to go in. You know, we have a rule, if you're not at special teams practice, then you can't play in the special teams. Yeah. So Yeoman stayed in. So yeah, we didn't think we'd get that, but it was a situation where we had just come off the field, and the defense was really tired. Yeah. And we went 3 and out, and if we probably punted the ball back to them, it might have been a different story for the night.
The 85 yards, Trent took the ball down the field and scored against Urbana. 293 yards on the night.
Big night, big night.
He's got just over 500 yards in
500
2 games.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Just unbelievable. And you know what? It says not only a lot for him, but it says to me what your offensive line is starting to develop into.
Yeah, and there's 1 starter back on that offensive line. You know, Dylan Williams is the only guy back. Well, yeah, because Fries didn't have much experience on the offensive line last year, so we got some new people. Well,
it's 35-23 now in favor of the good guys, and because the extra point was good, and we get the ball 1 more time and a half, halfway through the 4th. Rupert on a keeper from the Urbana 7 had a bad snap on the extra point. Did the young fellow walk home from the stadium?
Yeah, he barely got in that picture afterwards there. I think that's why he was hanging close to me. I wanted to keep on my good side.
Yeah. Was Travis at the game?
No.
No?
They had a game the next day, so he was with the team that
Okay.
night.
And then the last 4 minutes, you had a sophomore running back. I think Shrub's a sophomore.
Yes?
Hard running kid.
Yeah, Larry Zonka type for the
Yeah.
for the fans that remember
My
that.
goodness.
A lot of forward lean when he runs, and he was picking and choosing the hole, and it was so great because we put him in because all three of our running backs were at that point were either tired, dinged, or something.
Yeah.
Because it was a strenuous game.
Yeah.
Overall, and boy, he was so concerned about keeping that ball covered. He didn't want to.
He had both arms
He had
on
it
it.
covered.
Yeah.
That ball wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
It was not going anywhere. He did a great job.
How big of a kid is he?
He is about 187-pound sophomore.
And strong.
Yes, he got a helmet award. He was one of the non-starters that got a helmet award for his efforts. We thought he did a great job.
Well, it was just bang, 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 and again, the people around me were saying, "Do you have anybody that doesn't run like that?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but they're probably playing JV ball or something."
Yeah.
But he just, and again, the offensive line. You didn't substitute the line up front, did you?
No.
You
We
still had
kept
your
our
same,
line. We
same
kept our
guys
line
in there,
intact.
and they were just beating Urbana down.
Yeah, they were breaking him down pretty hard at that point, and Nate Monin was just coming down the line. But a lot of that started with just a down block, the old school double team down block, and he was taking it down and probably just taking that whole line, and then we're just bringing a couple linemen around for a lead.
The final score Friday night, 41-23 in favor of the good guys, the Indians. Let's take a look at some of the stats on the night. Total yardage for the Indians, 514 to 316 total for Urbana. They were 21 out of 29 for 211 yards passing. We were 7 out of 13. Not throwing the ball a lot. The percentage is over 50%, I think, in both weeks so far. Getting a little bit of yardage out of it, 119, just enough to keep them honest.
Yeah, 100 yards a game right now is about what the average is.
Yep. The rushing attempts, we had 46 to their 27. Rushing yardage, 395 to 105. Third down efficiencies, we were 6 out of 11, and so was Urbana. Fourth down efficiencies, we were 3 for 3. They were 1 for 2. Is that right, 3 for 3?
Yep.
Okay. And turnovers twice, we put them on the ground. Possession-wise, pretty close again.
Yeah.
We had more than they did last week against Toledo. They actually had the ball longer than we did by about 4 minutes, but it was 24-11 to 23-49. Looking at some of the individual stats, last week's ball game, we talked about Trent having 293 yards on 22 rushes for a 13.3 average. Shrub, 6 carries for 50 yards, 8.3. And I would say at least the last 2.5 or 3 yards of that, he had somebody hanging on him, didn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
And then Tips, Darlin, is it Darlin? Darian. I'm sorry, Darian. I got my glasses on, still can't read. Darian Tips, 4 rushes for 23 yards, and he was punishing also. Monin, the catch, the big catch for him was he had 3 of them for 87 yards for an average of 29 yards. And then Yeomans, Colton, Bachman, Honeycutt, and Gertner each had 1. Colton still hasn't been really involved in the offense yet, has he?
Well, you know what? I was going to say something about that Colton and Noah, our 2 big outside receivers, have we're throwing about 100 yards a game. We're throwing about 12 to 13 times, and that's really what the 2 defenses that we've played so far have been dictating. And in the meantime, we're rushing for 350, 400 yards. At some point, that's going to change. At some point, they're going to be 9 of them in the box.
Yeah.
And we're going to need those 2 guys to be able to go one-on-one and make plays, and I think we're going to be able to do that. The big difference is we've in the past we've not been able to answer that, and I think we're going to be able to answer that with those 2 guys because it's something we've done in the summer. It's something we've done in some scrimmages.
Well, they certainly have the talent.
Oh, definitely they do. But like I said earlier, when they're running, when they're staying, 4 over the top and they're running and they're just flying those guys out in them throwing lanes, that leaves that middle, pretty much open, and somebody's going to deal with it. So somebody's going to switch around the other way, and I think we'll be ready to go.
Okay. Defensively, Ben Sowery, who we had on at halftime, had a total of 10 tackles on the night, 2.5 sacks, and along with, who was the other one that had the other sack?
Dylan Runge had 2.5 also.
Okay. So Hall, Cole, another good game out of the Southmore Cole.
Yeah, Dylan had a great game.
Yeah.
The other sophomore, Tristan Cox, had his first quarterback sack, our big defensive tackle. And you know, really the nice thing is that we had 2 underclassmen that play a little bit of both ways. Darian Tips Clemens is more of our safety, but he also plays running back. He probably gets more snaps on defense right now than he does on offense. He had a key fumble recovery over on their sideline. And then Nate Monin, we put him in for a series. Our defensive ends got a little tired. We put him in for a series, and he had a caused fumble. So those guys were making big plays, you know, when they come over on the other side of the board also.
Cox is a big kid, 6'4", 230 pounds, according to the...
Yeah, big kid who can move well.
Let's talk about this coming Friday night. You're going to travel up to Spartanland, Lima Senior High School.
Yeah.
They're also 2-0 on the season, very similar scores in the ball games. They're 40s to the 20s, and passing game, running game. What are you looking for? Your friend's coaching up here. Does he tell you anything?
No, yes. Except the only thing he tells me is that they're good and they're going to beat us. That's the only thing I can get out of him. But no, actually, I think that, you know, this year is the second year they're running that offense, and you know, they're explosive. They've got a great running attack. They've got a great running back, just like we have great running backs.
Yeah.
I think that they have a couple of very good receivers. They're breaking in a new quarterback. They have an inexperienced quarterback, and the quarterback last week got hurt. So as of the first 2 games, they've played 2 different kids at quarterback. You know, I think the big news with Lima Senior is defensively they're holding people under 40 points.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, if we recall, I think they had 5 games where somebody scored at least 50. One of the games, someone scored, I think, 76 points on them and things like that. And they were winning 58 to 54,
Yeah.
and they weren't even overtime games.
They could score, but they couldn't stop anybody.
Right, and this year I think they've got the little bit of a better formula, and they're you know, keeping the scores down and so forth and so on. So they think that's they're going to be their deciding factor.
Well, I've told you, or before we went on the air, I had a conversation with their athletic director today. And remember last year we talked about their athleticism? He talked again today about their athleticism and the fact that, like you mentioned, the kids are now playing under the coach's program. They're his kids. I don't think you've got kids leaving senior high now and going to the outskirts to go to school.
Right, yeah.
I don't know what that's doing to your alma mater as far as football, but I know Elida's suffering. But he seems to feel pretty confident that it's going to be a very, very good ball game.
Yeah, it should be. I was just got off the air a little bit ago with Vince Koza from WLIO. I think he's at a radio station now. And the thing I told him, I said, man, whoever goes that game Friday, there's going to be a ton of talent on the field, and you know, whoever comes out and shows their best side is probably going to take home the win.
This new quarterback that they've got in, do you know much about him?
Well, the starting quarterback originally was a sophomore, a new kid, and then he got dinged last week, didn't play, so they put a senior in who's normally one of the receivers, athletic kid, defensive back, he can throw, but you know, it's not their quarterback. It's not the guy they want. In the meantime, then they're minus a guy at another position. So I think if they had their druthers, they would probably have him, you know, the sophomore playing quarterback. You
guys exchange films. What film did you give them?
We gave them everything we've done so far this year.
Okay, is that what you have to do?
No, we in a non-league school, you don't have to exchange any tape.
Okay.
But we have a tendency to exchange as many tapes as anybody wants. In the league, you have to exchange 3 tapes.
Okay.
But again, what happens is you exchange tapes, and then you get a tape of somebody, and they get a tape of somebody, and then that tape goes here, this tape goes here, and there's tapes everywhere. There's very, in this day and age, between you know, shows like this, YouTube, Huddle, the game tapes are out there everywhere. Okay. So they have seen us on our first 2 games. They've seen us in the Springboro scrimmage, and they've also then watched us in the Xenia scrimmage.
And what have you seen of them?
We've seen them in their 2 scrimmages. They had a original scrimmage with Defiance, then they had a tri-scrimmage with Elida and LCC. They opened up with Marion Harding, and then they just recently played Mansfield Senior. So we've got a chance to review all those.
You expecting any surprises?
Of course. There'll be something. There'll be something, just like he's probably expecting something from us. So we pulled out the fake punt last week. He pulled out the flea flicker last week twice. in one game.
Really?
Yep. So, but they still got about 3 or 4 things that we haven't seen yet, and same with us. So hopefully it'll be. I think the kids are going to know that it's coming. Everybody's going to practice, but it's going to be who times it up the best and who gets the execution.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Coach. Good luck Friday night.
Thank you.
This is a 7 o'clock ball game up at Lima Senior, folks. So their stadium is all complete now. Do they have turf or is this?
It's turf, yeah.
It's turf. They've got bleachers on both sides now.
Bleachers on
They've
both
got
sides.
some nice other facilities there. So if you're going to go up there, get up there early and get yourself a good seat, and let's do some loud cheering for the Indians at Lima Senior Friday night. Coach, again, thank you for being here for the show, and again, congratulations on the big win
Thank you.
against the Hill Climbers. And we want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.